You know, in the world of forensic science, it's usually the smallest clue that tells the biggest story. Today, we're going to unravel the science of ballistics and follow the journey of a single bullet from the moment it's fired to the moment it tells its tale. I mean, just think about that for a second. How can a tiny, silent piece of metal actually speak for a victim? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? How can this little chunk of lead and copper tell us who pulled the trigger and even where they were standing? Well, the answer is absolutely fascinating. It's because every bullet carries its very own unique fingerprint. Seriously, every single firearm on the planet leaves a signature on a bullet that's as distinct as your own fingerprint. And that, right there, is the entire foundation of ballistics. It's how a simple piece of metal becomes a star witness. Okay, let's dive into the details. To really understand how this fingerprint gets created and how it's analyzed, we need to follow the bullet on its journey. And that journey is broken down into three distinct phases. It all kicks off with internal ballistics. This is what's happening inside the gun. The instant the trigger is pulled, a tiny controlled explosion sends the bullet screaming down the barrel. Now, that barrel isn't smooth. It has spiral grooves called rifling that make the bullet spin, kind of like a quarterback throwing a perfect spiral. And it's in that violent split-second scrape that the gun literally engraves its signature onto the bullet. This is the exact moment the evidence is born. So once the bullet flies out of the barrel, we're in the world of external ballistics. And this is just pure physics. Experts look at its flight path, its trajectory, and they have to account for everything trying to mess with it: gravity, wind, air resistance. By crunching all those numbers, they can actually work backwards and estimate where the shot was fired from. A huge piece of the puzzle. In the bullet's final phase, that's terminal ballistics. It's all about what happens when it hits the target. This is where forensic experts and medical examiners team up. They study the energy, the damage, the entry and exit wounds, all to figure out the type of weapon, the distance of the shot, and the whole sequence of events that went down at the crime scene. Now, let's circle back to that core idea, the one that makes ballistics so powerful, the firearm's unique fingerprint. And let me be really clear here. This isn't just some clever analogy. It's a scientific reality. Because of tiny little imperfections in the manufacturing process, plus the normal wear and tear from being used, no two gun barrels are ever perfectly identical. Not even two guns of the same make and model that came off the assembly line one after the other. And as you can see, the comparison holds up perfectly. Just like your fingers have unique ridges, a gun barrel has unique marks. And just like you leave a fingerprint when you touch something, a gun leaves its print scratched right onto the bullet and the shell casing. The best part? That signature is incredibly durable, making it a reliable ID for pretty much the entire life of the weapon. So we've got this science down, but how does it actually work in a real case? Well, it all comes down to a super meticulous, unbroken process that takes the evidence from the chaos of a crime scene to the sterile environment of a laboratory. It all starts at this scene, where every single bullet fragment and casing is potential gold. This evidence is so carefully collected and sealed, and from that exact moment, a strict chain of custody begins. Every person who handles that evidence is documented. This is a huge deal, because any break in this chain could let a defense lawyer argue that the evidence was tampered with, and then it's useless in court. Okay, so the evidence has arrived at the lab. Now we get to the really cool part. The moment of truth, where all the pieces come together under a microscope in the hunt for that one perfect match. The whole process is incredibly precise. First, the bullet from the crime scene gets put under one side of a comparison microscope. Then, if they have a suspect weapon, they test fire it into a big water tank or a block of gel. This stops the bullet gently so it's not damaged and gives them a perfect reference sample. Then, that new bullet gets placed under the other side of the microscope, right next to the original. And this right here, this is it, the moment of truth. You have the evidence bullet and the test-fired bullet, side by side. The expert slowly rotates them, searching, comparing all those microscopic lines and scratches, looking for the exact point where the patterns align perfectly. You can just imagine the intense focus. Every single line, every tiny groove has to correspond. There can be absolutely no doubt, because if those marks match, the conclusion is scientifically certain. The firearm has been identified. This isn't just an opinion. It is a direct physical link between that specific gun and the bullet found at the scene. All of these findings are then put together into the official ballistics report. This thing is a comprehensive summary of the whole investigation. It's got the weapon type, the bullet info, the confirmation of the match, and the expert's final scientific conclusion. This report then goes to the prosecutor, where it becomes powerful, objective evidence in court. That story that started as just a faint little scratch on a piece of metal, it's now become a clear, undeniable voice for justice. So, through ballistics, a bullet is transformed from a simple object into a detailed narrator of what happened. It just proves that even in the face of the worst crimes, science can always find a way to make the silent speak. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are just waiting out there for science to unlock?